Okay, John, I'm going to introduce the podcast first here, okay? Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Miami Minutes. This is the podcast where we break down and sling every minute of Miami Connection over our shoulders like the hideous lemons-colored towel that it is. I'm one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here, sat clad in only a towel, it is your other host, John Parker. Hello.
Oh, I can't believe. Remember last week, John? I think for whatever reason I think you knew what minute was coming up next, and I had no idea, and I just flipped on to the next minute. And when I seen the open jeans and that towel, I was like, "Oh my God, we're here! We've made it to this point."
We're in peak Miami Connection right now. This is an iconic moment, an iconic scene, and iconic dialogue.
Oh man! Oh, the next I haven't looked ahead. I have no idea how long that freaking monologue is gonna last. That could be like the next 5 episodes.
And I would not have a complaint about that.
No. But before we jump ahead to that, we're here to talk about minute 29 of Miami Connection, which opens with some Brokeback Mounting, and it ends a minute later with some post-based pranking. I have to say, not to jump ahead too much, but like, I gotta say, the more time we spend with this John character in the movie, the less I like him.
I'm exactly the same, right? If you'd asked me before we started doing the show, do you like John as a character? I'd be like, yeah, he's a great guy. Watching it now, I'm like, he's a prick.
Yeah, but I believe we have mentioned several issues with him in the past, and now it is a bit like, I look at that behavior and it's like, I know a bully when I see one.
And it's that type of bully who pretends to be your mate.
Yeah. And it's just, before we get to that, of course, we have to go back to John himself, actually, in the middle of actually like destroying a guy, weirdly enough. The guy going up right behind him. And then they manage to, I have to say, the every time you cut up the minute, for people who don't know, when the minute files, they always have a little thumbnail, obviously. The thumbnail kind of it was very suggestive because it was just this guy basically like hovering over his back and ass to crotch kind of a situation. It was like, is this the Miami Connection porno?
That needs to happen. Please make a porn parody of so-called bad movies, people. Oh my God, yeah, we need a room. Well, the room is porn, but
Miami Erection. There it is.
Oh, there you go. Miami Erection. Fucking perfect. Yeah. And, who knows what these whorepans are getting up to behind closed doors.
Yeah. Whorepans?
Whorepan?
Oh, whorepans. A Miami Connection, would that be? Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yes. And when he's talking about his daddy, he's talking about a different type of daddy.
My daddy. You mean your father? No.
I suppose I'm jumping ahead there, talking about fathers, but who cares?
Oh, that's not even that's not even this minute. That's like next minute or like the week after, probably.
That's true. But I mean, you mentioned this vicious attack. Like, does John just straight up break this guy's leg? Because holy shit, that's an escalation.
Again, it also feels like that's dangerously close to that. Probably actually snapping the guy's actual leg too. It's like. Again, just the budget of this movie. That's the reason it was so much. Is like, well, a lot of lawsuits after this.
Lots of hospital bills. It is America.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's where Kim spent his fortune. It's like, well, I'll cover you. And then he regretted it after about 7 injuries.
I don't know, because Vincent Hirsch is the guy who plays John, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think all their names, as we keep talking about, sound the fucking same.
Yeah. I've been reading articles about Miami Connection, and the amount of times they put the wrong characters in the articles, and they're saying like, oh yeah, the guitar player is called Tim. It's like, he's not called Tim. What the fuck?
That's a different guy.
It's like, oh, the evil biker gang leader Jack. It's like, it's Jeff. What the hell is it? But then even later on they'll go like, yeah, so all the names are this. It's really hard to keep track of. It's like, oh yeah, I know. I fucking know they're hard to keep track of.
We feel your pain.
Oh. But the thing, he had his own dojo at this point, didn't he, Vincent Hirsch? So maybe I was like, YK Kim's like, that's your problem, buddy. Like,
nothing to do with me.
He's like, you're a student, your problem. So it's like, but it's your movie. Like, well, I didn't tell you to break the guy's leg. What do you want from me?
Well, even in character, in the world of the film, right? I know they're under attack, but But, in a lot of movies, you wouldn't have your hero just snapping a guy's leg. He would just, like, knock him out, wouldn't he, with a quick blow?
Yeah,
Boom.
this was like Wolverine or someone. He's like ripping people to shreds, maybe. But...
It's like torture. I mean, the guys deserve it in a way, but for a character who, other than being a bit of a prick, he's a good guy. He doesn't do like evil things. But this just seems to come out of nowhere, doesn't it? Like, right, you wanna fucking get nuts?
Yeah,
let's get nuts.
So everyone else seems like they'll go home and they'll have like a steak over their eye or a pack of peas in the head. But this guy's like, oh no, there's gonna be like friggin' pins in his legs and stuff. They're gonna have proper he's gonna be like on a cast for friggin' months with that kind of attack.
Yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? I kind of like it, and it's also shockingly like weird.
Yeah, plus he's the one out of all of them. He seemed like he knew what he was doing the least.
Yeah,
like the rest of them were kind of doing like kung fu moves, taekwondo, of course. But like he was just like, all right, I'll just go from behind. It's like that's your first mistake there, buddy, and it's your last. Let me tell you that.
You sucker.
Yeah, you'll never amount to anyone else the rest of your life.
He also gets a lovely kick to the face to finish him off. Bam! And if you remember from last week, people, I am doing the drinking game as we go.
Oh, of course.
Because I think that'll be better. And you know what? Kick to the face, that's a drink right there. Drink up. See, more fun already. You can drink along with us. You can feel part of our Taekwondo family.
There's people like listening to this at work, just like, oh, wait a minute. Have to drop everything.
Their boss is like, "Why you're drinking on the job?" Well, I have to. The podcast told me to.
It's like, what drinking game is it? Miami Connection one? Like, oh dear God. Are you near any of those freaking concert scenes?
You'd be dead if you did this all in one sitting.
Oh.
But that is a quality kick. He takes the guy. I mean, he doesn't need to. The guy's already going to be finished off, I think. But he's like, just for good measure, I'm going to break his nose.
Yeah. But and then of course we come back to the Grandmaster himself, YK, taking down a guy. Because then we see him take out two people. And was it just me? It's the same guy twice, right?
I thought it might be the same guy. I didn't know if he just looked the same, but I am willing to bet that's the same guy.
I was going to go like, oh, it's just two men who look a bit similar, but then the red bandana sticking out of the back of his jeans. Yeah. It's like, that's the bandana he has. Because obviously the second guy takes out, the final one of the fight is Dexy, of course. But it was just like, that bandana caught my eye, and it's like, well, he has a red bandana around his neck. He looks exactly like this guy. He's wearing the same clothes, except he hasn't got the hat on. That's the same freaking guy that just got like, no one will notice. Like,
I think that's what it is.
You got like 50 people there. What the hell? Just choose anyone else.
I think maybe they don't say in the commentary. Maybe this is like one of the reshot scenes, and that's just the guy they had around. Like, oh yeah, it'd be fine, because he doesn't have access to all the students all the time. That's my head canon though. Don't quote me on this, people. There's no mention.
If anything else, you think like put him in different clothes. Or at least don't have the bandana hanging out the back of his jeans, so you're like, wait a minute, that looks familiar. I thought it was amazing. Jeans so tight you couldn't even put the bandana all the way in the pocket. It was just like no, it's like skin tight down there.
It could be a fashion thing. The bandana might be sewn in.
Maybe this is something like I don't know, is this some sort of signal to have a bandana hanging out the back of your jeans? Maybe it's supposed to suggest something.
Well, that is a common thing in the past. I think like 70s and 80s especially, in the queer community. It's a way of signaling what you're looking for in a partner without being open, because obviously you might get beat up. So you'd put a different coloured like hanky or bandana in your back pocket. And that would indicate like what you're looking for.
Maybe mid brawl, this guy's like, oh, this dude's kind of hot. Like, maybe I was like, oh, obviously still trying to take him out, but like, just put the bandana there just in case. You never know.
In fact, I could, if people remind me, I could link to an article here. I have an abridged history of the hanky code.
Well, hanky panky, is that where the term hanky panky comes from?
You know what? It very well might do. I've never thought about that before. But, I mean, I don't want to be too obscene. But, yeah, different colours mean different things.
There's like green is rim job.
Well, green. Let me see.
Yellow, golden shower. Obviously,
that is, that's 100%. But depending where you put it, indicates giver or receive. Depending which pocket. But again, this got overblown into becoming like a big thing. It's like no, it was more like an underground thing. It wasn't just everyone walking around doing this. Where's green? Where's green? Green. That's a prostitute.
Oh, okay.
And then which pocket is you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell.
Well, what's red though? Then we have to know what this guy's signaling.
Is it red or red and white?
Oh, let's see. Oh no, it's red and white. There's a little bits of a white pattern going throughout it. So.
Okay, red and well, there's two things it could be, right? So red and white. It says stripes in brackets. Is a shaver.
Okay.
They like to shave you. Or if it's just red, it's fist fucker. That fits more of his character, I believe.
Maybe he's coming in there though. Those two things, those are shavers. He's just like they try to hit them. Come on, just a quick one, man. Come on.
Yeah, maybe.
That's why Mark's so ferocious with them. Is get those things away from me, man.
I like the way gold is drag queen. It's like I'm pretty. Does that mean like an off-duty drag queen? Because surely you would know it's a drag queen otherwise.
Yeah, that would be the case. Well, I'm not quite too sure. I mean, they're doing a really good job here with this makeup. But...
Yeah, I'm presuming that means like, I'm in my like.
You could be wearing like anything.
Man clothes.
Well, how many drag queens are wearing like freaking jeans?
Jeans and a hanky.
It's like a magnificently prepared outfit, and then in the back just like the denim ass hanging out. Just like it is. Just so you know.
Oh, but there's a big list of these things, people. So if you remind me and you're interested, I will share a few articles. This one is from the historyproject.org, and it's got all kinds, bondage. I'm going to be, even though this isn't a PC show, I'll keep it sucker, let's say. Razor blades is one. Okay. Ooh. That's a bit much for me, but do what you like.
I know I've been. Well, I've not been there. But I know people who are into that. So
yeah. I mean, it's no shame on this show.
Yeah.
I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah. It's like I've never had it inflicted upon me, but I've been in scenarios where I've been asked to, like, knives have come out, and I've been like, okay, this escalated.
That just makes me think of Mo with his two knives.
Well, I would tell you, this is really terrific. But I do like the idea that this guy, maybe people in the gang told him that this was like a hard ass thing. So like, if you wear that red and white bandana, you're signaling that you're gonna like fuck this guy up with your fists.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. So now he's gonna get the message.
That's what it means, fist fucker. Yeah.
And then bafflingly chose to have two sticks. He couldn't do it with his hands, I guess.
Oh yeah, I actually looked into those. I'm not 100% sure, but my knowledge of martial arts, which is all from movies and video games, led me to believe these may be eskrima sticks. And I'm probably pronouncing eskrima wrong, but it's a Filipino martial art.
Yeah.
I think it's an underrated weapon in movies. I think they're really cool. You might think, they're just two sticks, but there's something about them that's really brutal.
I mean, let's think that's Daredevil.
Yes, they're eskrima sticks. Yeah, that's what they look really similar, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he's. But his kind of joined together in the nunchuck sometimes. I think he's got like a multi-purpose kind of sticks, whatever he needs at that time.
That's what makes them different, you see. And eskrima, I've got a lot of notes on this. It's also known as arnis and kali.
Yeah.
I've heard of kali sticks as well. I didn't realize they were the same thing.
It's when you can tear out people's hearts with that.
That's exactly what it is. Kali Umar. But they are umbrella terms for martial arts of the Philippines, and they emphasize weapon-based fighting. Not just sticks. It's sticks, knives, bladed weapons, improvised weapons, open hand techniques without weapons and things.
Knives and stabbing weapons.
Oh my God! Why did I not think of that? Knives and stabbing weapons. That's the fucking point of this thing. And it's a rare martial art whereby it was practiced. It still is practiced, but mostly by the commoners rather than nobility or warriors or anything like this. Because like let's say in Japan, it was normally they were noblemen. They were like knights essentially. It was their version of a knight, wasn't it? They had land and things. But in Philippines, they're like, nah, we just want to fuck people up. And I've got a little quote here. Sadly, it's from Wikipedia. I don't like Wikipedia normally, people, but I thought this was a nice little bit about it. It said, the Philippines has what is known as a blade culture. Sounds fucking cool, that, doesn't it? Unlike in the West, where medieval and Renaissance combative and self-defensive blade arts have gone almost extinct, blade fighting in the Philippines is a living art. Local folk in the Philippines are much more likely to carry knives than guns. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. They are commonly carried as tools by farmers, used by street vendors to prepare coconut, pineapple, watermelon, other fruits, meats, all this kind of stuff. It's all cheap to procure, easily concealed. So it sounds like it developed from, they just had these on them anyway, these blades and sticks and things for, their normal day-to-day work. It says, in the country of Palau, the local term for Filipino, oh God, I'm going to mess this up, is Chad Ra Oles, which means people of the knife.
the Chad people of the knife.
The Chad people of the knife.
It's that little drawing of the guy with the sticks in his hands.
Yeah. So that's what they called Filipinos, because they're like, oh, those fuckers, they've all got knives over there. It's just a bit like the way we say, oh, Americans have guns, I suppose.
Oh, so there's a big problem in England, to be fair. All knife crime is like, as you were talking, I was like, well, so London, that's...
I think the difference is people over here are just fucking idiots, whereas at least over there, they're training.
Yeah. But as I say, in tying in to kind of what you're saying, with this more of a weaponry of the peasantry, because I got more of the vibes like, oh, it could be all that, or it could be that like he literally found like a stick in an alley and just snapped it in two, and he's like, this'll do. Just went over and started going like that. But
there is, even if these are Eskrima sticks, I don't know if this guy is actually performing any Eskrima. It's probably more like he went to a martial arts shop and was like, these look pretty badass.
But
I could bash a guy with these.
I'm still, the thing is, then when it gets to like the return of Dexy and his very, very quick defeat, like I was kind of thinking like maybe he was supposed to do more, because he gets taken out in 2 moves.
Yeah.
Which is kind of beautiful in its own way. But I was also thinking like maybe that like there was actually a longer fight. And then he lost the hat, and then he like took off the bandana, wiped himself down, put it in his back, and then he was like, "This is part of like a big thing." And then they just edited it out of sequence. So this is like mid-fight now, and then like the next part we see that was the beginning of the fights. He wouldn't. That last move wasn't supposed to take him down or something.
I could totally see that being the case. Definitely, yeah. I think you might be onto something actually.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Oh, I suppose you could argue. Here's me being devil's advocate again. A phrase I hate, actually, because anyone who says that's usually going to say something racist or something. But you could argue maybe the guy just got back up.
Yeah.
And he's come back into the fight. I guess.
Yeah.
At a push. It's not really showing him to be the same character. I don't know.
It's just more because then he's missing... The bandana's moved and the hat's gone.
Yeah.
So he returns with the hat back on. It's like, well, it just seems like a mess. But the Miami connection being a mess, who would have thought
it? And Mark batters this guy so badly. I think he's gonna die.
Yeah,
like that finishing headbutt makes him slowly collapse. He looks like he's like having a stroke or a heart attack or something. He smashed his nose in.
It's good. Extra. If this guy is just an extra, it's good acting in terms of like, oh, you remember that because it's good. Like, wah!
Yeah. As usual, me referencing wrestling, you'd say this is a great bump or great selling.
Yeah. So it's up there with the guy who got the shuriken in his hand. He opened his hand.
And that's what these kind of movies need. They need over the top, exaggerated acting. I think it works.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, then of course Dexy's gonna come back and you son of a bitch. And then I like that they've added in the chain sound effects, even though again it's still just clearly like a streamer or something. He's got.
They just found like a collection of sounds they could use. Like, use that.
So I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of things on the set of Miami Connection. I can't imagine YK would be okay. Like, oh yeah, come at me with a bike chain. Like that's clearly gonna be fine. Like no, Let's just something that looks a bit like one. that'll do.
Just in case. I mean, it is my first movie shoot, you know. Yeah. I'm not going to get everything perfect.
But I wish they had emphasized this point more, because this is like, I guess it has to be like, all right, so it's the guy who started it all. He's the final guy to get taken down. But if you weren't paying attention, you'd just think it was incidental.
I did at first. Yeah.
Yeah. But this should be more like. It should really come down. There should be like a little bit of dialogue between them or something to be like, that's right. Again, I got my ass kicked. Now you kick the asses of everybody else too. Are you gonna kick my ass again? It's like, I don't even know who you are, dude. Leave me alone.
It's like, Mark, at last the circle is complete.
It's like,
he was once his student.
But no, because then it just it would make it even more beautiful though if they had a big like. He came out with a big speech and then it was just like 2 moves and he's down. For all his blowhardness was like, yeah, the guy's an idiot. So there's a reason he got his ass kicked in the first place.
I always love, if it's done comic or serious, I always love a fight that's over like instantaneously.
Oh, yeah. The Indiana Jones with the whip guy, And,
great example of the comic version. As in, comedic, shall we say.
That was the big thing. Remember there was the controversy with... that episode of Rebels where Obi-Wan fought Darth Maul, and there was the big it's gonna be freaking nuts, and then Obi-Wan takes him out in like 2 moves, and it's just like, well, it's based on like old Japanese cinema. It's like samurai fights. It's just like, it doesn't have to be a big intricate thing. It's just like he got a good shot in and took him down expertly. It's like, that's what they're going for. But then people, Star Wars fans always find something to complain about. So
it's people not understanding what Star Wars is referencing. That's what annoys me. It's like as you say, Star Wars is specifically referencing a lot of the time Japanese cinema. In fact, Lucas wanted Mifune to be Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So, that's what he's going for, and that's why that worked so well in that cartoon. They got it.
Yeah.
Finally, they fucking understood.
It's a nice contrast, too. Just like, well, those prequel movies, and beginning with Episode 1, the big fight with Darth Maul, is like, yeah, a lot of kind of empty calorie gymnastics going on there. It's just like, there's a lot of flash and stuff, and then to be like, well, Obi-Wan could barely fight the guy in the first movie. There's all these crazy moves he was doing, and to show him decades later, is able to take him down so simply. It's just like, that's how far he's come as a character. So he doesn't need to do all this crazy stuff, because he's like, yep, just got him. I just thought ahead. And that's how I did it.
Exactly. He gets it, much like the makers of that cartoon. And I mean, a good example, I think, if I do say so myself, of another serious one, I always say I love it in Zatoichi. Takeshi Kitano's Zatoichi. I know there's millions of Zatoichis, but spoilers for Zatoichi, people, if you've not seen it. The end fight, it's been building up to it the whole movie, over in a single blow. Whoosh, and it's like, it's so fucking cool.
You find out though, like that episode, that's Zatoichi, and that episode of Rebels, directed by YK Kim.
That'd be perfect. Oh my god, get YK Kim in Star Wars.
Just like in the Jedi Academy, them walking around with towels just slung over the shoulders and stuff.
Mark as well, getting attacked with a chain, so to speak. It made me think the character, he seems to me like he's trained against all kinds of weapons. Like this, it doesn't feel like, again, I know YK Kim has, but the character of Mark, it doesn't feel like he's too scared or surprised or shocked or anything. He's like, I know how to deal with this.
Oh, no, I think there's a thing they don't tap into, but again, we have touched upon in the show. It's just like, well, he's clearly way older than the other guys. It's like there's a whole mystery that this guy's past. It's like, well, Mark probably has been like, oh yeah, I've dealt with chains, I've dealt with all those sticks. People come at me with lightsabers, they'll come at me with everything. Like I know how to take them all down.
Well, there you go. I don't remember if we've talked about this before or suggested it before, but what about YK Kim making a Mark prequel movie, recast Mark, and it's about like his upbringing in Korea.
Yeah. You have to have it all fighting. In. Because then you have to have the big choice. So like, well, you're going to have like a guy do the accent the whole time? Or
yeah, Korean guy.
But that's the thing. It'd have to be all in Korean. Like it'll literally have to be like a subtitled show and stuff like that. But I mean, hey, friggin' Squid Game was huge. So people don't mind that. But
Exactly.
weird why K Kim coming to Netflix is like, okay, so get this. Like, your movie was what?
I think they'd go for it.
It took how many decades to turn a profit? It's like, but the same though, Netflix is just like, sure, yeah. It's like we don't care, just throw money at everything.
Well, it reminded me when you said that. You know, back when we did our intro episode, did we ever talk about the box office of this movie?
I think we did.
Did we? I couldn't remember because I noticed it accidentally the other day, and I was like, $107.
Something like that, though, I think might have been like, I think that's another little bit of like a Big Fish story. That's a bit like, well, you know, we have to kind of exaggerate it for comedy, but so it probably made like even the worst films make like a couple hundred or like a couple of thousand, but like
you'd think so. But...
Yeah, but it's like, I think I might be like, to say it made like 107, that'll be pretty funny.
It's listed as that. Oh, it's listed as 107 worldwide as well as international. Is that an additional 107, or is it that it made 0 worldwide? Did they not even release it? Oh no, it did. It got released in New Zealand as well.
Well, played like the Cannes Film Festival stuff too. So it was like, oh no, those freaking Cannes assholes didn't even pay to see it. Yeah. But that's always the thing people throw out at film critics, and I was like, you don't even pay to see the movies. Like, what you know, is it worth forking over the money for? That's what I want to know.
Oh, this kick he gives old Dexy's a little odd, isn't it? I thought, because he kicks him. I love the way we're still calling him this, by the way. He kicks him, and then Dexy like rolls.
Yeah,
but pops right back up on the attack, and I found that like it's almost like the kick had no power. He didn't even feel it. He just goes. Hup! His
role is very like, you know, okay, and then I do this move, and then like again, I got the you know, why kick him? Because he's working with the people, like the best tools he can. He's doing great. Like, you know, they can't fault him at all. And some of these extras and Dexy's is as much as I love him, it's like, nah, it's not up to snuff.
I know we're criticizing it, but I'll tell you what, I have seen worse.
Yeah.
I've seen movies do it much worse than this.
Oh, of course. But probably see it done much worse elsewhere in this movie as well, to be fair. But,
also, do you considering how weird I'm saying it is, do you consider Dexy's role to be a ninja role? Or does it not count because he's not actually a ninja and the role was injury-based?
No, I think I would... Well, you could say that it was a tactical thing. He saw the kick coming. He's like, all right, I'll let it land, but I'll also like roll over into like a new attack and stuff. But I will say he is very distinctly not a ninja because he's not like part of the ninja gang. Like, unless there was deleted scenes of, you know, him discussing with Yoshido or something like, oh, yeah, my bad. But so I would say maybe half. You give it a half drink with that.
Have a sip.
Yeah.
There you go. Have a little. There we are. Little sip.
Yeah.
We'll cut him a little bit of slack. It looked slightly deliberate.
I will say too, like, I actually have this movie a lot of stick for like editing and stuff, and I think this is a nice capper to the scene though. Like the actual him going down is not great, but you know, I just love that shot of Mark kind of putting up the fist and kind of like the look of determination, and then just the music coming to the real. Like it's just a nice little look at. It's like, this guy's dominated. It's like, oh, that's, you know, good job with that at least.
Yeah, it does really like establish his character, because up until now you've just thought, oh, he's like nice, and it's like, oh yeah, he is nice, but he's hard as nails.
There's a little journey, because everything was at last minute where he had like there was another shot of him kind of similar, but he looked really kind of a little bit panicked, like holy Christ, the people keep coming for me. But now it has a kind of vibe of like, you want some more? Like he's really got into his element. I'm like, I can take all you assholes.
Let's go.
Although weirdly enough, I have to say, like the amount of people they've taken out, those streets are looking very empty. Still considering like there should be like 50 people lying around, just like writhing on the floor and stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, that was going to be my next point. Like when it cuts to them going home, it's like, did they call the police on them, or like did they just let them go? Like what's?
I imagine they let them go.
Yeah,
I don't think they rang the police, because they'd have to stay around to like file reports with the police and everything, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but it's so weird. So I was kind of hoping there would be a scene of like all 50 of those people will be all like sitting in a big circle and then have like one big long rope around them, like, oh, we rounded them up for the cops, guys. Let's get out of here. But no, it's. I think we'll see it elsewhere in the movie as well later on. But like, there's a real vibe in Orlando and you don't rat. You don't call the cops.
Yeah.
Like, this is a real, like, no, we can it could be Mark's attitude. It's like, no, we handled it. Like, these guys, roaming gang of psychos, but, like, they won't go after anybody else. They're looking for us specifically. So we kicked their asses, and that's the end of that.
And they'll never come back again.
Yeah.
It's done. It's dusted.
That's but this is so weird to be like, because the real vibe out this is like an insanely intense attack on them, where they are drastically outnumbered, and then the next edit's just like
before we get to that, there's another drink.
Oh.
Yeah, because Kim, he kicks him in the face. I wasn't sure at first if it was to the face, but I went frame by frame. I went very slowly through. I'm like, right, let's see. And I am 99% sure that despite the obscured angle, it's a kick to the face.
Yep. I'll take that.
Have a drink.
This was more of a shot to, again, just to emphasize the fact that it's Dexy. Like, have the hat fly off or something to be like, you son of a... And then, like, the sneaker lands in the face or something. Like, just to be like, that's him. He's taken down. It'd be like having a big friggin', like a battle in, like, Masters of the Universe or something, where, like, they randomly took out Skeletor on the side and you didn't see it. And you're like,
yeah,
but he was the main guy. What are you talking about? You can't do that.
It is weird. That's what makes me think, like, it might not be the same character, but that's even stranger. I don't know.
No, I think it's definitely supposed to be him. I think they're putting him at the end is very deliberate because they're trying to convey, like, well, he's the final boss.
But there's no build.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is like there should be more emphasis on, like, that was the guy, even if it was just gonna be like, look how easily he's taken out.
Yeah, have a musical sting or something.
Yeah, but of course, home again, jiggity jig. I always love that. Always associate that now with there's an episode of Hannibal where Mads Mikkelsen sings that.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember the context, but I just remember him going like, off to market to buy a fat pig. Home again, jiggity jig.
And in his voice, it just sounded amazing.
Yeah, but just like I love that they made him do that. Like, that was the thing. It's like, you just imagine the writer's like, I really want him to sing this song. just that guy, particularly. It was like, if it was a season one, like, we didn't know it was going to be him, but as soon as we saw that guy, we're like, put that in the script.
I think that's how they came up with half the dialogue, to be honest. We just want to hear Mads Mikkelsen say this.
Yeah.
Like, what was it he says about the mic drop? What's the exact line?
I believe the kids today call it a mic drop. Well, some of them are just really like, it was a supercilious pig. It's like, you just want to see if he can say it.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
You just know the accent's that thick. It's like, you'll never get past this one. Yeah.
Oh, but as you say, they do drive back home. And I thought once we see the house, the outside and the inside, I thought it was a very nice house, but also a realistic one inside.
Oh, inside it's pure student dorm.
Yeah, it's not too over the top like the young ones.
Yeah,
but it felt real. Like, I have been in this house, so to speak.
Yeah.
I find that refreshing for film.
Oh, no, totally. It's got a level of dinginess that's like, well, that's what, 5 men in their late teen, early 20s would be living like. This, I lived like that for a while. What Mark's doing there is no one's guess. You think he'd be like, guys, I can't. Like I've been married for too long to be able to put up with this crap.
Maybe he sees it as his mission to help other Orpans, and he is actually older than them. But that never comes up. So, I don't know. But nice little touches, I thought, to really drive home the sort of studenty elements here is the mismatched furniture.
Yes, of course, classic.
None of that is a set.
Looks all like it's bought from charity shops or something like that, probably, or it was just more like, actually, probably students wouldn't be like, they wouldn't have to furnish their own place, but it'd probably be like cheap colleges are just like, wherever we can find something. It's like, we need a new sofa for that place. Go down. Someone said they saw one on the down by the storm drain or something. Go get that. Yeah, because then you have little things too, like up in the wall. There's the askew poster.
Yeah.
There's like a crazy angle. That's the way. It's all they're all nothing's framed. They're all posters too. Like
the framing's for old people.
Yeah, you don't start framing until you get to your mid-20s. I don't think. Then you're like, wait a minute, I put up the same exact stuff, but now it's in a frame.
I know that instantly changes you from looking like a teenager to a grown-up.
Yeah, totally.
Like, there's a nice wooden frame on this one. It's the same poster I've had for 10 years, but now it's in class.
And of course, the thing like you would see. To be fair, Dragonstown had the excuse because, like, well, they're a band, but like the amount of places I've been to where people aren't even really musicians, but they'll have guitar cases and amps and stuff just lying around
and it's
everywhere.
always in a weird place.
Yeah, and then the amps usually just used to sit on because that's just like after a while, I was like, well, and then after 6 months, I'm like, hey, don't sit in the amp. It's like I've been sitting on it for ages. What the hell's the matter with you?
I mean, even I've been guilty of it. I've got an acoustic guitar. Which is ornamental because I can't play acoustic guitar. I've tried, and it's boring to me, so I just give up. And now it's just sitting there looking nice. I think it's because Eugene Hoots of Gogol Bordello once said, "A house is not a home without a guitar." And I was like, "Well, I need a guitar then." But, you know,
I think it's meant to put like flowers in or something.
Well, I should do that actually.
We said like if Eugene Hoots said a house is not a home without an accordion. Would you buy one too, John?
Yeah, I probably would. This feels a bit studenty as well. Am I looking at this right? Around like second 47. Is that just a wooden crate they've randomly got in the house?
Let's see. We got the 47. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That feels like they're a bit hipstery. Like, oh, that's going to make cool furniture.
Sir, 6 cinder blocks are missing. There'll be no hospital then. I'll tell you. Yeah, it's either a crate or. It could be like it looks kind of like some of the boxes of cables because my dad's in a band, and he would transport all his like pedals and stuff and boxes like that. It could be that's what it is, but
it is with the guitars.
It is. Although at the same time, it could also just be like in that chair is next to it. It's like you can't see the detailing because the film quality is not great. But, like, yeah, I guarantee there's stains all over that chair.
Oh, yeah. I've sat in this chair. I have at parties. It'll be like a New Year's party. It's 3 a.m. I'm sat in that chair.
Yeah. Classic there. Got the rug to tie the room together.
Yeah. The one fancy thing they've got is, it's a nice rug. Yeah. Maybe someone's mum gave them it.
They that instantly.
Oh, they're all pants, though. Oh, no.
Oh, God. John, what are you doing? Come on. Edit that out in case they listen to it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, okay, maybe not the mum, but, a lady gifted them this. They didn't buy that. One of them was dating a girl. She gave them the rug. Like,
I think she gave them. It was just like, guys, you have to do something. I will give you a rug. And then just half cover it with amps within the first week.
Yeah, if anything, keep the amps on the wooden floor. Get that rug nicely in the middle, so when you're sitting on all the chairs, your feet are on the rug.
Yeah. As you can see that thing that looks like it might be like a Jameson's poster there in the background. It's like, it has to be some alcohol-based poster.
Yeah.
It's like in a student dorm. That's just the rules.
Oh, I didn't even see that one. In the next minute, I've made quite a few notes about a different poster. That definitely looks like alcohol.
Oh, I'm worried. There's a poster I've made quite a few notes on for this minute. So I'm worried now it might be the same poster.
No, I don't think it is. Let me see. No, it's definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay.
I've just checked that. Is yours about the musician?
Yes.
Oh, right, because I tried to see who that was and I couldn't figure it out. And I've written down, can you make out these posters now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I know who that is.
I'm excited, genuinely.
But before we get to that, though, we have to address the masterclass of acting that's just beginning to rev up within, because we finally get some dialogue for Jim. Even then, I had to be like, okay, so he's not John, not Jeff, Jim.
Yeah, it's one of the other J's. I don't know. But his voice isn't what I expected.
No.
And I mean that in the best way.
It's just, I love those little, like, it's, like, you can feel the vibe of, like, an unprofessional actor going, like, okay, I'm just about to get into the scene, because he's doing this little, like, when he picks up the towel, he's like, just gonna take this here.
Well, you need a thing, right? You need a bit. You need something in your hands.
Yeah. Of course, not in his hands, though, slung classically over his shoulder. And then just the absolute masterstroke of this jeans are just unbuttoned. For just no reason. He's just got, like, in case the bulge could not be contained, I guess.
There is no need. I don't get people who do this. It's so strange. It's so peculiar. I don't want to walk around my friends like that.
He was just like, well, you never know. Maybe like a scout for Calvin Klein will see this. And then he's like, well, that guy, that man with a stunningly average body, he'll be hired to advertise Calvin Klein.
And you don't mean that as an insult. You just mean he looks like just a guy.
He just looks like Calvin Klein models look like models. He looks like a guy. Like,
they look like an Adonis.
Yeah. Although I put in the Taekwondo orphanage. I was making notes for this because initially what got me off was the trousers been open, but there's a shot where he's standing in the doorway. He does look like Michelangelo's David, like because David's standing naked with like the sling over his shoulder, and it's like, oh my god, it's him. It's the same. I put the two things side by side, and then friggin' Pam in the office going, they're the same picture.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Holy shit.
So really, perfect. It was the past that reminded me, because it reminded me of the Simpsons, where, you know, they had the whole debate over David, and then at the end they censor him by just having him with jeans, but the jeans are lying open, and it just looks exactly like this. And I was like, well, from that, but like, wait a minute, he just looks like David in general, though. If he was literally cut, you know, properly cut from marble, there you go. You could go to Orlando and make a statue of Jim outside the dorm and just have it be emulating David.
Can we crowdfund this? People chip in. We're going to do it.
Of course, it has to be made from proper marble, so this will cost about $50,000, I want to say.
Yeah, and we need a $50,000 fee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. For the, 25% for the idea, and the rest of it for, you know, our labor.
Yeah. Our labor of finding someone to make it.
But again, though, we'll say, like, because we got the real Bible, like, they're just back going, like, as if nothing happened.
Yeah, how calm are they? What the fuck?
I mean, this must be like, what, 3 a.m. now? Like, we can't tell what friggin' time they did a whole gig, and then they got, you know, a big brawl in the street, and now they're back.
War.
Yeah, so this is probably very, very late at night. So I take showers late at night because I just like to get it out of the way. So the next morning I don't have to have it hanging up like, oh Christ, I better go take a shower or something.
Oh, you're one of those people.
Yeah, okay. I say that. So I work from home, but I end up in like, oh, I'll do a bit of work and then I'll take a break with a shower, and then that break will come at about 1 p.m. And then so when the postman comes and you're answering in a dressing gown, and then you don't feel right. You just like, you feel dirty all morning, and you're just like, I'm not really dressed yet. So I always shower. Like sometimes it is like at like 1:30 in the morning. Because I'm getting ready to go to bed. But that's when you wake up, then you're like, nope, I'm ready to roll. Get the clothes on instantly. Sit down, start working, and then your day's started. Like you're all set.
I have heard of a lot of people doing that. I've never done it. But I mean, I to be fair, for work I get up at 6, so I shower. I've got to, I'm up, so I might as well shower. But at the weekend, I don't give a fuck. Like I'll shower at 2 p.m.
Oh, I mean, like on a Sunday, I generally just don't. Like, I'll just be, unless I'm going somewhere. But like, if I was just hanging around the house, it's like, well, who am I trying to impress? You know.
Laddie.
I don't know. We have a mutual friend who I used to live with, and like, I don't know how long it takes you to shower, John, but like, I'm in and out of there in about like 20 minutes tops, and I'm talking about the whole scenario. Like, I'm not the time the water's running could be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe. Because again, don't have any hair to wash per se.
Yeah.
All that. But we know a guy. he used to be in there for friggin' like an hour. Like, and it was always the water was running the whole time. Like, it was really, it was very like, what is he doing in there? Like, it was really bad. It was like, and it was every day.
Yeah, I'm quick. I'm a 5-minute. Well, depending. If I'm just showering, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I shave in the shower.
Oh, okay.
Because I have to shave my head as well. So as of recording, I'm going to be doing this tomorrow. So it's easier to just do it in the shower. You just whack all the cream or gel all on your face and your head, and I'll just do it all in one go. Boom, 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 boom. Done. So that makes it take a bit longer.
Yeah.
Because if you don't take a bit of care with your head, and, regularly I don't, you slice your head open.
Yeah. There's always tender patches, too. You never, you just don't think, it's like, oh, that's just a normal piece of skull. And then you're like, no. For some reason, that's way more sensitive than the rest of your head. For God knows why reason. But
And until you start shaving your head, you don't realize how fucking bumpy your head is.
Yeah.
There's random bits where you're like, I don't remember that bulge.
But I have to ask, though, I am wondering, how long is Jim in the shower? Him going, I'm taking a shower first, guys. It's just like, oh, God. It's like, well, it's okay, we'll shower tomorrow. Whenever the hell you're done.
That's the thing. On the surface of it, and in the past, I would have said, why the fuck is he even telling them? Just lock the door, have your shower, get out, do your thing. But now, having toured with the band... No. You've got to. When there's a big group of people, you got to fucking tell them.
Well, they do.
It becomes a whole thing. People will knock on the door. Can I come in? It's like, no, you can hear the water running.
No. It's I didn't question that. That was just like, well, it's like I've lived in communal living. It's just like, well, if there's one bathroom, you're like, okay, guys, I'm going up to a shower. Don't come and barge in or whatever. But the original point was going to be that trying to show some consequences from the fight. Heck, have them sit around tending wounds, sitting with a freaking ice cream or something to their lip, just be like, Christ, we just got what the hell? Even discussing it, just going so what the hell was that about? They're just so back to well.
Well, I mean, I said earlier that escalated quickly, and it wasn't a deliberate reference. But if anything, it should be like that conversation they have in Anchorman after the fight.
Totally, they should be sitting even friggin'. It's an episode of Only Fools and Horses. They had the force well, you have a fight, you have to have them sitting around afterwards, been oh, they're really tending to the wounds. They should have him peeling off this t-shirt, and he should be looking like bruises on his ribs or a cut or something. It'll be like, oh my God, and just have the rest of them all sitting around and just maybe there's got a little bit of blood on their head, or they're just establish that they won, and it was just it was an easy win because we're badasses or whatever. Yeah. But you still have to be oh man, I got messed up, or sitting with a fist in a bucket full of ice and be like, oh jeez, I really messed myself up doing that.
Yeah, Jim should be holding his ribs or limping,
But he's just so oh, he sings well in the shower too.
I bet he's got a good voice.
And they're going past it, friends for eternity, loyalty. It's
my favorite thing is your impression is really good, but it also sounds like Kermit, and it's amazing. It makes it even better.
That'd be great. It's just he does the cover of Rainbow Connection with Dragon Sound. They'd be Jane has her song, and then he comes out and he takes out his banjo.
Before he can clean himself up, though, John informs him that a letter has arrived from Washington.
Yeah.
But why? Right, I know we've established he's a prick. Let's ignore that. Why is John teasing him about this? What a jerk. I've never liked friends, so to speak, who do things like this. He won't let him take the letter. And what's funny about him getting a letter?
I think this is, the screenwriter's vision of camaraderie.
Yeah.
But all it comes is I think everyone's been through this. One, it's very clumsily done. And two, John just comes off like a dick.
Yeah.
Because it goes from 0 to 50, where he's just I got a letter. You want it? Oh, you can't have it. Oh, no. Oh, you can have it. No, you can't have it. It's just and it's just how quickly Jim gets frustrated with it.
And rightly so.
And it really, because he goes so into getting instantly exasperated, it really leans the vibe of he does this to him all the time.
Yeah, he's done it 5 times today.
So the fact that he has any of his personal property is oh God. That's why he keeps his yellow towel in his room. He's I can't leave it outside. John will take it on me.
Oh, I think you're onto something there as well, yeah. Because why else would you keep a towel in the room? It'll be all wet.
Yeah, that's why he's keeping the jeans on, in case they get stolen.
Well, the worst thing as well, right, because I would smack John. I would. The worst thing is he pretends to relent. Oh, and then he goes back to his bullshit.
That's the classic move. I know people who do. I know a guy, one of my best friends, to be fair. And this is his recurring bit, and it's so annoying. And he knows that it's so annoying, so that's why he does it. But he'll do it. I didn't think it'd get any worse, but then he learns. Years ago, he learned to drive, and then he's like, "I'll give you a lift." And then just getting up there, and he's just like, oh, yeah, hop in. Just moves the car forward a little bit.
Oh, he moves the car. Oh,
yeah, just keeps doing it. No, go on, get in. Moves the car. Like, all right, stop it. But the thing is, like, Mark's, because he's a young man. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Young man.
Sorry, not Mark, Jin. He doesn't get he's falling into the trap. Because what does a bully want? He wants a rise out of you. Yeah. And that's what John is right here. He's just been a bully. That's just, I hate this tactic, but that's what he's doing.
Well, we hate bullies around here.
I hate the fact that you can see how exasperated he's getting, and the fact that it clearly has a history because he gets so angry about it. Maybe it's not even just John. Maybe it's the whole crew. Although the rest of Dragon Sound seem fine, it probably is just this one asshole.
Yeah, I think maybe John does it to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like, I could imagine him doing it to, what's his face, the drummer. He's a bit of a geek.
Although then he has a kind of vibe, he'd just be like...
That's a good point. He might not get anything out of him. He might just take it.
Yeah, he's very cool, the drummer. He's got a very laid-back attitude, the whole thing. But then, who is easily riled is Jin. Because he instantly goes on a, give me the letter! Give me the letter! Give me the damn letter right now! Give me the letter now! It's like,
amusingly,
dude.
Even though he's called Jim, he's a bit like Dwight.
It is. It's a very Jim and Dwight scenario. Although at least Jim's pranks have a bit of wit about them.
Yeah.
So they're funny at least. You're kind of like, oh, he's been an asshole. And I know that's the kind of the modern sort of spin on The Office now, is that people are starting to go well, he's just harassing a guy in the workplace.
To be fair, he is bullying his neurodivergent colleague.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just kind of like, Dwight he's an asshole, but he doesn't deserve all this. You can be the better man and just not rise to it. But I guess it's supposed to be so he's so bored sitting there and he has to talk to this guy every day.
Yeah,
doing little things that he perceives to be harmless. They're just like, well, I'm just winding him up to impress the girl on reception and all this kind of thing.
Well, because there's nothing else going on.
Yeah.
It's like you're driven to that almost.
Well, they say that was the original pitch, and then by season 5, it's just this seems like the craziest office in the universe. This thing's happening all the time.
Yeah, it does deviate because very different shows in some ways. That our one, but the UK one, is very serious. Well, not serious, but it's very real.
Yeah.
It feels like, I've been in almost all of these situations.
It literally does feel like we have just put a camera in an office, and these are the people you would run into and stuff.
And the American one starts off that way, but changes into something else. And in some ways, I think that was a good thing. Not that it's better, necessarily. It's just it established its own identity.
I'd say it's better. I don't like the UK office at all. I love the US version. I hate the UK version. I don't hate it. I just don't... I know people really love it, and I was like, I get it. I get why the acclaim's there. It's just I don't like watching it. It's not... I don't like the characters. I don't like... and I know you're not really supposed to like the characters either. You're just sort of well, they're just, but they're just very uncomfortable to watch, and
yeah.
But yeah,
I always like uncomfortable things. So.
Yeah. But see, it's not like Partridge. Partridge is really uncomfortable, and he is a complete dick, but there's just something about that that's very charming. And I was like, I love watching this guy. But yeah, David Brent and the whole Office scene is just it looks so... maybe it's just too realistic. It's too grim. It's too gray. It's too this is just what life is like. And that's why I don't watch EastEnders or anything either. It's just
it's a bit like a comedy EastEnders in that respect. Yeah, it's they even picked the most boring town they could think of.
Yeah.
Was it Slough?
Yeah, Slough. Yeah. But no, there's a real Dwight Jim energy. Although, and Dwight would get very easily riled by the bait, and it's frustrating to watch because it's maybe Mark should take Jim aside sometime and be like, this is your lesson for the day is serenity, and
don't be a dick.
Yeah, and just been he's doing that to he knows that you're gonna get all squeaky and high and be like, give me the letter now. and you just have to play it look at Jack over there, and then just Jack over there with a fly crawling on his face.
He does seem stoned 24/7, doesn't he? I think he's been smoking something in that dorm room or whatever you want to call it.
But
no, it is also odd to me. I suppose it's a classic case of the bully again. We're calling him a bully. We're putting it out there. Of his joke doesn't even make sense. No. Oh, you got a letter? Yes, I've got a letter. Yeah. Like, what's the gag?
It's something like these Orpans don't get letters. So a letter arrived. Like, what the hell? No one ever talks to us.
Well, it's not even like he's making fun of him. Like, not that I approve of this, but you could make fun of him for having his top off and his jeans undone.
Yeah, I guess maybe because it's postmarked Washington. It's just like, ooh, it must be something impressive from Washington. But
he does want to know what it is, doesn't he? As like we go into the next minute, he really wants to know.
Yeah.
Everyone ends up wanting to know for some reason.
I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't just like steam open the envelope, quite frankly. But
does that work? I've never actually done it.
Oh, I would never think to do something like that because it's just like, well, it's none of my business, But
yeah, exactly. I've never. The only time I've opened someone else's mail was on accident. That's a very American way.
Yeah,
I'm turning into an American. No, it's too much of this movie.
It's because your sophomore podcast is doing this to you, Joe.
Oh, jeez, by accident. Proper way of saying it. Because I was just opening all the posts that was there. Didn't look because I've been living in this house for 2 years, so I didn't expect to get someone else's post, and I did.
Yeah,
and it turned out it's like a very serious letter about like, oh, your kid has to come into the hospital, and I was like, what the fuck? What? I had to try and seal it again and put it back in the post.
Well, you just like my kid? What?
Although I did creepily find a child's sock in this house the other day.
Ooh.
But then I thought back to that letter and was like, oh yeah, a kid lived here.
You said that though. You had your ghostly voice getting picked up on the mic earlier, and now you find kids' socks around. Like, what is this?
It was weird. It was stuffed down the radiator.
I was imagine like Jim's ghost haunting. Like,
oh my god!
Something like tragic happens to him. But, something tragic to him does happen at the end of this movie. But him going around like, "Oh, Mark, give me my letter now." It's like, I'm sorry, Jim.
He should, it should become like a big thing, calling back to this moment.
Yeah, but it's just it's the moves he's doing. It's the maneuvering the letter all around and try to put a different angle so he can reach for it, and then it's just, and again, I hate it so much. And people are probably sitting like listening to this, laughing at me, but like, oh, you're clearly just a guy who gets very easily taken by this. But yeah,
yeah.
Because it is always just like that. No, you can take it. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
As someone who got bullied loads at school, I have literally had this happen to me. Not with a letter from Washington, but still.
But as mentioned, though, in the background, we do see a poster for, it's like a man with guitar.
Yeah.
And did manage to just get a little snippet because his name is on the poster. So
how did you see that? What the hell?
No, it's just you couldn't. It's just a certain angle at a certain second. You just get like a little. Whoop, there it is.
Oh, now that you've said, yeah, I've seen this. How did I miss this doing my notes? Holy shit!
But yeah, this is Randy Rhoads, which is a great rock star name, to be fair.
That's a cool name. He's not a member of the Rhodes family of wrestling.
No. When I was thinking, I was like, isn't there a Randy Rhoads who's a wrestler? But,
no, you've got Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Randy Rhoads, who would be like the sexy one or something.
Randy Rhodes.
Like Dusty's just like, I'm not sexy enough? Wait, what?
I would say Dustin Rhodes was the sexy one because he was Gold Dust.
But just in general, he was Gold Dust.
Oh, yeah, not the character. No.
But no, Randy Rhoads was, at this point, he's dead already. In 1987, he was died at age 25, but he was one of the founders of Quiet Riot. Did, Big Black Cadillac, and I think he was one of the two founding members, and then the band just continued on without him, but he did leave, so I guess they're like, well, we didn't continue on after his death,
Something has just dawned on me, and the listeners will be laughing at us. Now, remember, we record these episodes, we record them ahead of schedule, so we forget things. Niall, we've talked about Randy Rhoads before.
Oh, have we?
He's the guy who created the Jackson guitar.
That's what I was thinking, because I remember seeing that, and I'm like, we talked about Jackson guitars just the other week. Yes, Randy Rhoads, yes.
But we didn't really talk about him much, other than, I think we said he played with Ozzy Osbourne or something.
Yeah, he was the co-writer he was on Ozzy's band, and then he was the co-writer of Ozzy's first two solo albums. Hooked up with Sharon, back when she was just Ozzy's manager. Ozzy was with his first wife, and then apparently Sharon Osbourne. was jacking up with Randy Rhoads at the time. So,
is that why he then didn't work with Ozzy?
He died on tour with Ozzy. Because as soon as you see any affiliation with Ozzy Osbourne, you're like, oh, so I guess it was drugs. But apparently, no, he didn't die because of drugs. He died. Apparently he seemed like a very teetotal kind of guy. Ozzy says like, oh, he'd smoke you under the table. He was like, man hurtling towards lung cancer, but he wouldn't touch drugs or anything like that. He was just like a really, very. And the ironic thing was then he was also very, very afraid of flying. So there's one point they were out on tour and the tour bus broke down, and then they were near, I think they're near like an airfield, and they had like, oh, there's little biplanes, like little, mini things, and they're like, well, I can't take the whole band in that, but we'll just mess around here while we're there. And then like literally like 9 a.m. in the morning or something, most of the band, because they're heavy metal guys, they're still sound asleep. And they have no intention of getting up anytime soon. And basically, one of them was like, "Oh yeah, I know how to fly the plane." They went in and like, let's just take this thing out for a little spin. And they did it once with like other unrelated, other members of the band or whatever, or other people who were part of the, the roadies and part of the makeup artists and stuff like that. And initially, Randy Rhoads is like, I'm not going. Like, it's like he's terrified of flying. He's like, I'm not going to go do that. That's mental. And then the second time, they're like, oh no, it was really fun. It was really fun. What they did was they kept trying to buzz the drummer who was in the tour bus sleeping, which meaning they just wanted to fly low enough so it would like rattle the tour bus and cause like a lot of noise, and then fly back up again. And they're like, oh, we did it. It was great fun. It was great fun. You should go do that. And then Randy Rhoads is like, well, I'm not that interested in that, but I would like to take some nice photographs of the scenery of the fields from my mother. And it's just a wholesome, nice guy.
Oh, he sounds lovely, doesn't he?
And so then he gets in, and then him and the makeup artist, the lady who did the makeup for them, and then they go up again. And then they try this thing, they go down to buzz, and apparently they did it twice, and they're like, third time's the charm. Maybe we'll wake him up this time. And then it just went a little bit too low. The wing clipped the top of the tour bus, and then just went spiraling.
Holy
and
shit.
Then the whole thing just like complete. Like, apparently there was only one member of the band who was up, and he saw it happen. And he was just like, "Holy Christ! This thing fell." Just you can see people struggling in the cockpit, like panicking, and then just went crashing the ground, obliterated them. Apparently they were so badly incinerated that like they had to use dental records to identify who was who and stuff. And like some Sharon was just there as well, going like, "Yeah, it was a." Absolutely horrific. Like nobody got over that for like a long time. Really like properly took the wind out of the band.
And it's the least crazy one of all.
Yeah. Poor Randy. He was just wanted to get some pictures for his mother, and didn't want to. But ironically enough, though, trying to prank a guy you're in a band with. Having his picture in the background during this scene is like, oh, there you go.
I was going to say, maybe that is why they put it there rather than the Jackson guitar connection. It's like, oh no, it's the pranking thing. Oh no, that's awful though. That's because I think when I brought him up before, I did say, oh, he sadly died in a plane crash. That's all I knew. I didn't know all of that.
Oh no, it's to say like so with Quiet Riot though. This is mentioned Quiet Riot because one of the songs of theirs I know was they did a song called The Joker. I was like, oh, man, it's tied into our other podcast. And I was like, no, it's an unrelated Joker. Plus, Randy Rhoads was dead at that point when they released that song, apparently.
But in our minds, it can be Joker-themed.
Yeah. But because it starts with, like, I am the Joker. And you're like, oh, man, it's going to be about the Joker. It's like, no, it's about, like, I'm the card and the pack. And you're like, no, it's about a card.
Yeah, it's not quite the Riddler.
Tell me what. People don't know what we're talking about there. Please subscribe to the Patreon and then listen to our episode about the 1960s Batman album.
Please do.
Or just listen to the entirety of Batman Forever, because that song is also talked about during that season. I can't remember which episode, though. So just listen to the whole thing. But so that was the tragic later. But as you said, John, he also did, he commissioned and helped to create the Jackson Road guitar.
Yeah, that's that one we looked at, isn't it? That sort of like a flying V, but cooler.
Yeah. But it's It is a testament. I'm assuming maybe did Angelo kick this place out because, like, I guess it ties it together well. That they're using the instruments and they got the poster of the guy. I was like, these guys are friggin' Quiet Riot fans. Like they're in the roads. So
I 1,000% think anything music related in this movie is all down to Angelo. He's like, no, like I'll make it look like where musicians this age would be living.
It's like we need a place that looks like a real dung heap. Angelo is like, you can just film it in my apartment. You know,
this is just his place.
I think he's listening to this episode like, hey, it's like he still lives there. It's like, hey, 45 years and counting, guys. Come on, this place it's rent controlled. It's great.
Oh, I wish they said something about that in the commentary. They don't. I do have one commentary note. I don't know if you've got any more notes before we.
No. That's basically it. Just like managed to identify that poster as Randy Rhoads, and of course, to take the mood down a little, and tell you people about his very tragic death there. But
yes, we're gonna now have a very solemn, quiet moment. Actually, that sounds like I'm taking the piss and making fun of him. I don't want to make fun of him. That's horrible. And he seemed like a lovely person. So go and listen to some of his music. I believe he was, when I looked him last time, I think for Ozzy at least, was he on like the Blizzard of Oz album, which is a great name, let's be honest.
Oh yeah, Ozzy's first two solos. Also Ozzy just this week too, and a kind of real like double shocker.
Oh yeah,
and then announced he's retiring from touring. And it's like, oh Ozzy, I thought you were done like a long time ago, but apparently now he's announced he's retired from touring.
Well, he just brought an album out a couple of months ago, and it's really well received. So I think he was planning to tour it. I think it's a good thing that he's not. I think it's very sensible of him. So which is a crazy thing to say, to go, you know what, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because nothing's stopping you. Just put out some studio stuff.
It's like it's such an old man reason though. It's like he hurt his back. Like he really messed up his back a while ago. He's like, my back, I can't go out there. It's like, man, you used to bite the head off of bats and stuff, man. Like, it's like, nah, my sciatica is playing up. I can't get out there.
Age comes for everyone, even the Prince of Darkness. You know.
Yeah. Although to be fair, like he looked like he was friggin' dying 15 years ago. So it's again, that's why I'm kind of stunned that he was even considering a tour. But
I think more older, let's say, acts should maybe consider just being studio bands. Like, I'm not saying that, I was going to say the Rolling Stones, but I've heard they're still pretty good live. But, okay, as we move on, let's be honest, they haven't got, I don't want to be morbid, they haven't got that long left. So maybe they should just think stick to the studio.
The Rolling Stones, I think, are going to be like, at least friggin' Keith Richards, I think he's going to be like a cockroach. He's just going to
he's immortal, yeah.
Yeah, like if a friggin' nuclear war happens, like, no, he's fine. He's still touring.
Groups like that, maybe, you don't feel the pressure to tour.
So sometimes, like I remember seeing like footage of Blondie live. I think like, oh my god, they sound terrible. It's like they really should have called this off. And then we had friends who went to see them, and they're like, oh no, they're phenomenal live now. I was like,
yeah, maybe it was just a bad night. And they have changed the band up a little bit. Like Glenn Matlock of the Sex Pistols is the bass player now.
Yeah.
And he's always been good. Like he was good back in the 70s. He was the one who like did the music. Yeah.
And they always had of course, recently Paul McCartney, who's like 80, headlining Glastonbury, doing like a 2.5 hour set or something. That was a real, and every, again, because he played those songs in his sleep, but it was like, he's still got it, Although that could have been like, this is the last time, so I'm just doing this one, and then I'm out. But
plus, I'm not saying don't play live gigs, because obviously there's a demand for it. But if you're like Ozzy and you think, I don't know if I can do it, like there's no pressure. Don't do it. Just put out some recordings. It's fine. Like
you go the way of Robert Plant. He comes out with his country albums with Alison Krauss, and he just looks like a little pudgy version of the Robert Plant you remember. And I was like, can he still do that? No, he can't. He doesn't even try.
No, you shouldn't. Because if you try, it's going to be terrible. Don't bother.
Yeah.
Just
still play some Zeppelin songs with like very slower tempo and a lot more low key. So.
Which is fair enough. You've got to accept your limitations. Everyone has limitations.
Yeah.
But this is now turning into like a self-help show.
We have to get something like to get after the horrific display of bullying we've seen from.
Well, the commentary track, it doesn't have anything funny as such. But I did like this one little thing that Kim said. He said, Kim lists Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris as his big inspirations.
Oh.
Both because of their amazing movies, but also their work in promoting martial arts around the world. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh yeah, because that's what he says this movie was for. So I get it. Like, that's why he'd be drawn to those people. It's like, that's what I want to be.
Totally. That's I think we've been pro Chuck Norris on the show before, because there is a sort of thing in modern day culture. It's like, well, martial arts movies have to have Asian people be the star of them, because that's that's kind of like the correct thing to do. It's like other people can learn it. And again, one of the guys that promoted freaking martial arts more than anybody back in the day was freaking white ass like all American Chuck Norris. So it's like, if you got the skills, if you have appreciation for the culture, and you're prepared to like perpetuate what the original. It's not as if Chuck Norris is claiming he invented the freaking thing. He's going to like, hey,
exactly. And he's coming from a good place, and he knows what he's talking about. I mean, he trained with Bruce Lee. They were good friends, So he's not just some fucking white guy barging in.
It's a bit of old footage of them training together, and it's just like, hey Bruce, you got a letter here from Washington. Give me the letter, Chuck. Give it to me. Give me the letter now.
This is based on an actual thing that happened.
Baby YK Kim was sitting there. Say baby. He was probably like 35 at the time.
That's a baby to me. Baby YK. Baby or pans. It could be like a cartoon, like the baby Muppet thing.
Or pan babies. Yeah. So you don't even know how to read yet, and then he's still hiding the letter from him. Or it's like a little toy letter. It's like the letter Q or something. He's like, give me the letter now!
Get that made. Get it like an animated show on Disney Plus or something.
I
want YK Kim to be a Disney princess.
Or Jane, she's like, justice for Jane, the real mastermind behind this whole thing.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's I'm noted out for this minute.
I am as well, I am. And, we're going to have a lot more exciting letter chat next time, because this continues.
Oh, boy. Oh, it's getting into something.
It escalates, much like the fight. So do join us next week, but also join us on Facebook at the Miami Minutes Taekwondo Orphanage, Twitter at Miami Minutes, Instagram Miami Minutes. And why don't you, let's think, why don't you review us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I think it's called now, isn't it? Where else can you review? Podchaser? Podchaser's good for reviews. Anything you use, give us a review. It's very helpful. 5 stars, please. I'm just flicking ahead, though, and seeing the thumbnails for the upcoming minutes. I think this next month is just going to be... It's going to be this monologue. And that's all we need, people. That's all. Prepare yourself for letter monologue month, folks. Oh, it's monologue month, baby. Woo! It's party time. Do join us again next week for more Miami Minutes. Listen to me.